Cyber Threat Brief for February 09, 2026. Today's articles paint a clear picture. Edge devices and on-premises software remain the primary attack surface for ransomware operators targeting MSP/SMB environments. SolarWinds WHD, Ivanti EPM, SmarterMail, and Sonic Wall VPNs were all exploited through unpatched internet-facing services, with multiple incidents leading to Active Directory compromise and ransomware deployment. The BIOVD technique, Black Basta, Akira, embedding kernel drivers inside ransomware payloads, is an escalation that directly targets endpoint protection, making driver-level defenses and vulnerable driver block lists increasingly important for every managed environment. Here's a full breakdown of today's top security stories. Next section, Critical Alerts. SolarWinds Web Help Desk. Multiple critical RCEs actively exploited. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, KEV, Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog. CISA added CV 2025-40551, CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, 9.8, to its Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog. This is an unauthenticated deserialization to remote code execution flaw in SolarWinds Web Help Desk. Microsoft confirmed exploitation of, and CVSS 8.1 can lead to full domain compromise. Security Week reports evidence of exploitation dating back to December 2025, meaning these were likely used as 0 days before patches shipped, and 2 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. CVE 2025-40551 9 and 5 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Action: upgrade to Web Help Desk 2026. 1 immediately. Assume compromise if the instance was internet reachable before patching. Hunt for web shells and unauthorized access. MSP, Managed Service Provider, Impact. WHD is common in MSP environments for ticket management. Unauthenticated RCE with a path to domain compromise is a worst-case scenario. Sources: The Hacker News Microsoft Security Blog Security Week about DFIR. Ivanti EPM 0 days. 86 plus confirmed compromises. Dutch government breached 2 Ivanti Endpoint Manager mobile vulnerabilities. CVE 2026-1281 and CVE 2026-1340, both CVSS 9.8, are being mass exploited following disclosure on January 29. Shadowserver has identified 86 compromised instances so far, with hundreds of exploitation attempts from 130-plus unique IPs hitting Rapid7 honeypot in a single 24-hour window. The Dutch Data Protection Authority and Council for the Judiciary confirmed breaches exposing staff names, emails, and phone numbers. The European Commission also reported an attack on its mobile device management infrastructure. CVE 2026-1281 9. CVE 2026-1349 8. Action: patch Ivanti EPM immediately. If the instance was internet exposed before patching, treat it as compromised. Tear down, rebuild, and run Ivanti's detection script. Nearly 1,300 instances remain exposed per Shadowserver. MSP Impact: EPM manages mobile device fleets. Any MSP using Ivanti for MDM should verify patch status across all customer tenants today. Sources: Cyberscoop the Register. Next section, Vulnerability Disclosures. SmarterMail auth bypass and RCE exploited by Warlock ransomware. Storm 2603 C. V. 2026-23760 is an authentication bypass in SmarterMail before build 9518 that allows resetting admin passwords and gaining full privileges. CVE 2026-24423 is a separate RCE flaw added to CISA KEV last week. The Warlock ransomware gang, linked to Chinese nation-state actor Storm 2603, is actively chaining these flaws. Smarter Tools confirmed its own network was breached through an unpatched Smarter Mail VM. Attackers moved laterally via Active Directory and compromised 12 Windows servers before Sentinel-1 blocked the final encryption payload. CVE 2026-23760, CVE 2026-24423. Action: upgrade Smarter Mail to build 9511 or later. Audit for Velociraptor, Simple Help, or suspicious scheduled tasks on Smarter Mail hosts. Check for unauthorized admin account creation. MSB impact: Smarter Mail is used by many SMBs for on-premises email. The Active Directory lateral movement pattern means one unpatched mail server can lead to full domain compromise. Sources: Bleeping Computer Security Week. CISA Kev, Sangoma Free PBX and GitLab flaws added 3 additional vulnerabilities were added to CISA KEV alongside the SolarWinds flaw. CVE 2019-19006, CVSS 9.8, is an auth bypass in Sangoma Free PBX exploited since 2020 by the INJ3 CTOR 3 VO IP fraud operation. CVSS 8.6 is a command injection in Free PBX being used since December 2025 to deploy the Ensist PHP web shell, which creates backdoor accounts, resets passwords, and modifies SSH keys. CVSS 7.5 is a GitLab SSRF being exploited as part of a broader SSRF surge across multiple platforms and 2 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. CVE 2019-19006 9, 8, 8, 6, 7, 5, and 2 additional CVEs. See show notes for the full list. Action: patch Free PBX/Elastics and GitLab instances. For Free PBX, check for unauthorized users, especially NUFX, modified SSH authorized keys, and PHP web shells in web directories. MSB impact: VO IP systems are often managed by MSBs. The Ensist PHP web shell persists through reboots and blends into legitimate Free PBX components. Source: The Hacker News. React Server Components RCE under active exploitation. React 2 shell, a critical vulnerability in React Server Components, is being actively exploited by multiple Chinese threat actors. Recorded Future is urging immediate patching. Action: check if any customer-facing apps use React Server Components and apply patches. Monitor Recorded Future's advisory for updated IOCs. Source: Recorded Future. Next section: Ransomware and Extortion. Black Basta embeds BIOVD directly in ransomware payload. Black Basta is now bundling Bring Your Own Vulnerable Driver capability directly into the ransomware binary, rather than deploying it as a separate pre-encryption tool. The signed vulnerable driver runs in kernel mode to terminate security processes before encryption begins. This was observed alongside typical Black Basta TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures: shadow copy deletion via WMI, event log clearing, and lateral movement. Action: deploy Microsoft's vulnerable driver blocklist, or equivalent WDAC/app locker policies. Monitor for unexpected driver installs, service creation, and shadow copy deletion via get WMI object win32 shadow copy remove WMI object. MSB impact: traditional AV/EDR may be killed before it can respond if the vulnerable driver loads first. Driver-level protections are now a prerequisite, not optional. Sources: Dark reading about DFIR. Obscura, new ransomware variant found on Domain Controller Huntress, discovered a previously unseen ransomware variant called Obscura deployed on a victim's domain controller. Details are limited, but finding ransomware directly on a DC indicates the attacker had full domain admin access. Action: review DC hardening, restrict interactive logon, enable credential guard, monitor for anomalous DC authentication. Source: Huntress. Ransomware groups pivoting back to encryption as data theft ROI drops. Ransomware operators made less money in 2025 despite a 47% increase in attacks. Data theft-only extortion is delivering diminishing returns, pushing groups back toward file encryption for leverage. New tactics emerging for 2026 include bundled DDoS services, insider recruitment at target companies, and exploitation of gig workers. MSB impact. Encryption-focused attacks put more pressure on backup integrity. Verify offline/immutable backups are tested and current across all customer environments. Sources: Security Week recorded future. SLSH extortion crew uses swatting and personal harassment, an extortion group combining shiny hunters and scattered spider tactics, is pairing data theft with personal harassment of executives and their families, including direct threats and swatting. The behavior is less predictable than traditional ransomware groups and escalates quickly. MSB impact. Executive protection and crisis communication planning should be part of incident response preparation, not just technical recovery. Source: About Defer. Next section: MSB/SMB, Small and Medium Business Threats. Sonic Wall VPN exploitation continues, linked to Akira ransomware. Active exploitation of Sonic Wall 7th generation firewalls continues, with Huntress tracking at least 28 incidents. The activity is linked to CVE 2024-40766, improper access control in Sonic OS management/SSL VPN, primarily affecting organizations that migrated from Gen 6 to Gen 7 firewalls without resetting local passwords. Akira ransomware operators are using BIOVD, RWDRV, SIS, HLPDRV, SIS to disable security tools before encryption. CVE, or Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, CVE 2024-40766. Action: Update Sonic Wall firmware to 7.3.0. Reset all local user and LDAP account passwords, especially for SSL VPN accounts. Audit for RWDRV, SIS/HLPDRV, SIS driver installations. MSB impact. Sonic Wall is one of the most common firewall platforms in SMB/MSB environments. If you migrated Gen 6 configs to Gen 7, treat credential rotation as mandatory. Source: Huntress. Romania oil pipeline operator hit by Killin ransomware. Compet. Romania's national oil pipeline operator reported a cyber attack that disrupted IT infrastructure and took its website offline. Killin ransomware group claimed nearly 1 TB of data theft. OT/SCADA systems were unaffected due to IT/OT segmentation. MSB impact reinforces the value of network segmentation. If managing any operational technology clients, verify IT/OT boundaries are enforced. Source: About Defer. Next section: General Security News. DeadHash VAX campaign delivers a sync RAT via IPS-hosted VHD files. A phishing campaign is delivering a sync RAT through IPS-hosted virtual hard disk. VHD attachments with heavily obfuscated scripts. The attack chain uses in-memory execution and injection into trusted Windows processes to minimize disk artifacts. Action: block disk image file types, VHD, VHDX, ISO at email and web gateways. Monitor for suspicious disk mounting and script-driven process injection. Source: About Defer. Crash Fix. New ClickFix variant crashes browsers to deploy Python RAT. Microsoft describes a ClickFix evolution where attackers intentionally crash a victim's browser, then social engineer them into running fix commands that install a Python-based remote access Trojan. Reduces reliance on traditional exploit chains by abusing user trust. Action: tighten script execution policies. Train users not to run commands from browser error messages. Detect suspicious command sequences launched shortly after browser failures. Source: About Defer. LLMs now finding 0 days in well-tested codebases. Schneier highlights Claude Opus 4.6, discovering high-severity vulnerabilities in codebases that had years of fuzzing coverage. Unlike fuzzers, The model reads and reasons about code, identifying patterns and logic flaws rather than throwing random inputs. This signals a shift in the vulnerability discovery landscape that will accelerate both offensive and defensive capabilities. Source: Schneier on Security. That concludes today's cyber threat brief. From Carolina Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.